Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is John J Gaming on the mic here, coming at you with a brand new episode of the NCSL Dynasty here on NCAA 14. We've made it through the entirety of the regular season, and we also made it through the conference championships, so now we get to that beautiful time of the year, postseason action. We will have plenty of postseason action here in the next couple of episodes. Particularly, we're going to be jumping in to that good old-fashioned bowl season. And shoot, not only do we have bowl season, we might actually have some time here today and maybe take a look at a little preview of the opening games of the college football playoff, the inaugural 12-team playoff for the NCSL Dynasty at the very end of this episode. We might even have a user-on-user matchup as well. So really excited for the entire episode in general, and I hope you guys are excited for it as well. If you are, make sure you go ahead, smack that like button for me, hit that subscribe button as well. If you do have to be brand new to the channel, let's go ahead and dive right into bowl season. It's going to be a fun one. I hope you guys join me for the whole dang ride. Let's go jump into it. So we will go ahead and get bowl season officially underway here in year number 3 of the NCSL Dynasty. We will start things out in Boise, Idaho, where we find ourselves at the famous Idaho Potato Bowl between the Utah Utes, who represent the Mountain West, and the Kentucky Wildcats, who come from that MAC conference, as Utah will draw the opening blood here in the bowl season. Utah's going to score about halfway through the first quarter and could extend this to a 14-0 lead, as that is a good run out to the outside. Marcus Brooks will make this a much more manageable third down situation. 3rd and 5 coming up, though. It's going to put it in the hands of Bradford in a 5-wide set, looking to the left-hand side, and it's going to be intercepted. Kentucky will choose not to return it out in the end zone. But boy, did Kentucky dodge a bullet there. We'll see if the Wildcats can turn that into points as they'll throw over to the left-hand side. Finds James Bradley for a nice 7-yard gain on the play. It sets up a much more manageable 2nd and short. We'll see if they opt to run it. Yeah, they're going to go with the speed option, and it goes absolutely nowhere. Gary Tolbert is going to be crushed in the backfield. And now they stare down a 3rd and long. Dropping back, looks to the left-hand side, and it's intercepted. So both teams kind of being a little bit on that sloppy side here in this first quarter of the famous Idaho Potato Bowl. Whoever cleans up the mistakes first, I feel, is going to be the winner of the very first bowl game here in year number 3. We'll see if Utah can come out and learn from their mistakes. 2nd and 4 coming up as Bradford will drop back. The pass looks to the right-hand side. It's intercepted. This could be trouble, as only one person might be able to stop him, but they're going to run out of real estate. Touchdown, Kentucky. The Wildcats are going to score based off their defense, and it's now going to be a tie bowl game here in the famous Idaho Potato Bowl. So here we are inside 3 minutes. Utah coming off of a terrible interception. But then you got throws like that. Oh my word, is that a certified bad man at quarterback? Even though he might be off to a slow start, and he could run it too. Bradford does end up getting crushed, but he'll bounce right back up. He watches his fair share of hockey highlights. As now, 1st and 10 coming up. Bradford on the outside. He's going to be able to get away from a defender and gets out of bounds. Utah putting together a really strong drive here in the famous Idaho Potato Bowl. As now, 2nd and short coming up. It's going to be a toss play to the left-hand side. It's got some space to the outside. And can he get to the corner? Oh, Mark Brooks almost gets there. He's going to be marked out of bounds, though. 14 yards gain, though. And it makes this a much easier 1st and goal, which they will convert because they find Adam Fowler in the back of the end zone. Touchdown, Utah. Willie Bradford is going to have his 2nd passing touchdown of the first half. And after a Kentucky punt, well, Utah's going to have another shot at this. But Bradford is going to be intercepted yet again. The Willie Bradford mistakes has kept Kentucky in this game, and now the Wildcats have a chance to tie. We'll see if they can capitalize on the strong field position as they are facing a 2nd and goal. Dropping back, looks over to the right-hand side, finds an open Sam Van in the corner of the end zone. Touchdown, Kentucky. And we'll be looking at a tie ball game going into the half. So whoever wins this second half is going to end up winning this game, as Bradford has a convoy. Oh, but he can't get away from the final defender. Oh, man, that should have been a walk-in touchdown. Instead, it's going to be a goal line situation, and Kentucky is looking to stand tall. Bradford got time. He's going to run all by himself, wide but naked open. Utah's going to take the lead, and the Utes have a 21-14 lead here in the famous Idaho Potato Bowl, and that lead is going to continue to grow as we progress through this second half of action. Nick Paris really needs to score on this particular drive to keep Kentucky in the game. They'll opt to throw it short over the middle to the tailback, Jay Bowling, who gets his first catch of the day. It's now 3rd and 5 coming up. Paris drops back, looks over to right-hand side, and throws a dime to Justin Terry in the back of the end zone. Touchdown, Kentucky. So the Wildcats now up, actually down 28-21. We'll see if they can get a little bit of help from their defense. See if they can force another one of those turnovers. But not being cute down here in the red zone. They're going to hand it off to Mark Brooks, and Utah will score yet again. And we certainly have a very exciting, famous Idaho Potato Bowl here as they'll run over to the right-hand side. Mark Brooks, again, picks up a good amount of yardage there, as Kentucky is starting to use their timeouts. They only have one left, and they won't need to use that final timeout because Utah is going to score yet again. Touchdown, Utes, and Utah wins convincingly. 42-21 ends up being your final score. That being said, we have the Barstool Arizona Bowl coming up. Western Kentucky is taking on Wyoming. And what's significant about this bowl game, this is actually the first time that you have two teams that are out here with a custom coach going up against each other on national television. Remy Natalius is the offensive coordinator for the Wyoming Cowboys. Doug Rose, meanwhile, is the offensive coordinator for the Hilltoppers of Western Kentucky. Both teams are searching for their 8th win of the season. Remy Natalius in particular looking to build momentum as he is rumored to possibly be interested in a higher tier offensive coordinator job at the end of this season. So he's trying to put together a good resume here in the bowl game as Nicholson is going to pitch it out to the left-hand side. He's got his tailback. One person left to beat. He's going to be brought down eventually. But Danny Clark is able to put together a good run as the Cowboys are in a goal line situation. Looks over the middle and finds Adam Hunter in the end zone. Touchdown, Cowboys. And Wyoming will extend their lead here in the Arizona Bowl game. And Nicholson is putting together just a complete performance right now as Carl Nicholson will push it upfield for a 25-yard gain. It's now 1st and 10 coming up, running the ball up the middle of the field. It's going to be a run into the end zone for Adam Hunter, who's been a problem in the first half. Wyoming dominating this first half thus far, as Western Kentucky themselves having a hard time getting their run-heavy offense going. Well, here we are with less than a minute left in the half. There's almost a turnover there, but Wyoming, last play of the half, tried to make a score happen, and they throw to the back of the end zone. It's going to be picked off by a Western Kentucky defender. So that keeps Western Kentucky sort of in this game, but a very low-scoring third quarter could put the Hilltoppers in trouble because they are not an offense that is necessarily designed to make a big comeback from. We'll just put it that way. They prefer to run the ball, and it goes away from those strengths as Nicholson will throw to the right-hand side to a crowded side of the end zone. He'll find Matt Blake for the touchdown, as that's Carl Nicholson's second passing TD of the game. So Wyoming up big here, 28-6 is your score. Seems like Western Kentucky just doesn't have too much hope to coming back and winning this game, but don't tell this Hilltoppers team that. They're going to continue to fight through the course of this game. That is the identity of Doug Rose, who he himself was a Division I running back at Arkansas Pine Bluff back in his playing days. However, Western Kentucky fails to convert the 2-point conversion. So that being said, 2-possession game, but they're going to need those 2-point conversions to fall. Plus, they need this defense to make some stands. Wyoming, however, is driving down the length of the field. They're already across the 50-yard line as their tailback is going to be able to get into open space. Can he get this last block? No, he cannot, but Adam Hunter with a significant reception going for 30 as Nicholson looks again to the right-hand side, finds Mike Blair in the end zone. Touchdown, Wyoming. That should seal the deal in the bowl game, as Western Kentucky, with less than 6 minutes left, is down by 23 points. A huge discrepancy on the scoreboard right now. But Western Kentucky, like I said, will not give up. Dropping back to pass, got some time in the pockets, gonna step up. No, he gets struck from behind. Stan Sanders gets sacked by Josh McNeil. And McNeil having a big day, gets his second sack of the Barstool Arizona Bowl, as Wyoming looking to capitalize on the pressure, tries to send the blitz on a 4th and 15, and yet it fails to get home. So Western Kentucky picks up the 4th down conversion. They need another one to continue to drive. And not only do we pick up multiple 4th down conversions, but they also managed to go ahead and get the touchdown there as well. 35-19 is your score. Hilltoppers do end up trying to go for an onside kick. It goes horribly wrong. So Wyoming again is down by the goal line, as Nicholson has a touchdown here but chooses to pitch it out. A very interesting decision. However, that linebacker could not get himself up in the air. So less than a minute left. They're going to just run it on the ground, as this is going to create a big play down the field. Gets dropped from behind, but the Hilltoppers hang on now. They have a little bit of hope here. 24 seconds left. Looks over the middle. Finds Jared Carson in the end zone for the Hilltoppers. And they'll also go for the 2-point conversion, and that will be successful as well. So it all comes down to this onside kick. 1-possession game. This is to keep the Hilltoppers alive, but they don't get the bounce that they are indeed looking for. And Wyoming will win the Arizona Bowl in a very tight one. But now we have some more bowl action, as we got a good one here between the midshipmen of Navy and San Diego State, coming out of the Pac-12 conference, as Navy will look to get the first points on the board there, and they will get it here in the Gasparilla Motor Bowl. Wesley Kolb having a huge season for the midshipmen. That is his 7th receiving touchdown of the year, and more importantly, his team has the lead, especially after his defense comes through. Oh, the offensive lineman just saved the touchdown. That is a brilliant effort, but Daryl Nichols has Navy entrenched in that momentum right now, as Navy does have a big lead in the second quarter before San Diego State finally finds the end zone there. But a 1-possession game nonetheless, as San Diego State has put together another solid drive. Can they punch it into the end zone yet again and tie here in the Gasparilla Bowl? 2 minutes left in the first half. Looks over to the right-hand side. He's got a receiver. Breaks the tackle. Cannot break a second one, but Brandon Holman has the Aztecs inside the 10-yard line, where they look to strike in their 5 wide set, and they got it! Brandon Holman is going to score for the Aztecs, and after a 14-0 run by Navy, the Aztecs will answer with 14 unanswered points of their own, and all of a sudden, we have a competitive game once again here in the Gasparilla Motor Bowl. We'll see who wants it more, who wants to finish their season on a high note. First and goal coming up as Navy looks to reestablish the lead. Gonna run it on the ground for Austin Weldon, who finds the end zone. Touchdown, Navy. And the midshipmen have the lead yet again. But the Aztecs look to answer. They have a red zone opportunity of their own. Looking over the middle of the field. What a dot. What a dime by Tom O'Neal. He throws a second passing touchdown of the afternoon. And going into this final quarter of action, we are looking at a tied football game on our hands. 24-24 is gonna be your final score. One quarter to decide who wins this thing. So let's jump into the very first play of the fourth quarter as Tom O'Neal faces the blitz but gets it out to Kurt Fields in the nick of time as Tom O'Neal gets his third passing touchdown. Now we see Navy behind. For the very first time today, how will the midshipmen respond to the adversity that they are facing here in this bowl game? Third and short coming up. Looks like Navy is planning to possibly run it. They will. It's a read option. His man is out in the open, and Adam Parks, he just wanted it more. Touchdown, Navy. And the game is tied yet again. 4:30 left to play. O'Neal fires. Caught! Caught again by Kurt Fields. And that last touchdown will solidify it. San Diego State is going to be your winners here in the Gasparilla Bowl game. So more exciting action coming on the way as we now head out to the Sin City in Las Vegas for a big time matchup here in the early portion of bowl season. The number 10 ranked Notre Dame Fighting Irish. They're going to be taking on the number 13 ranked Raging Cajuns of Louisiana. Lafayette nearly made it to the Sun Belt Championship game, but no dice. But should be a very exciting bowl matchup anyways. Two teams with a combined record of 19-6, and Greg Hunt wants to let it be known that he is indeed that guy. Greg Hunt with a massive touchdown run here in the first quarter of action, and Notre Dame comes firing on all cylinders, taking an early 10-0 lead. But the Raging Cajuns, they're ranked number 13 in the country for a reason, taking a very difficult path through the Sun Belt Conference. And Lee Goddard and the rest of the Raging Cajuns, they're not going to fade away as easy as some people would think. Doesn't matter if they're a smaller school, this is a very strong football team, and the Raging Cajuns are right back in this game. Jumping into the second quarter though, Greg Hunt looks to drop back the pass. He wants his tight end in the back of the end zone. That is a defensive lineman that makes a play on the ball here. Incredible verticality. You do not see that every single day. So that keeps the score at 10-7 for now. But Greg Hunt, he's going to have some time here on this play action. Looks over to the left-hand side, but throws it into quadruple coverage. And this could be trouble. Going down the opposite way. No one to catch him. Touchdown, Raging Cajuns. That is Marcus Ford, who's going to pick off Greg Hunt for the second time today. And is also going to put the Raging Cajuns out in front. Louisiana Lafayette now has a 14-10 lead. But we go ahead and jump into the fourth quarter because we don't have a lot of action happening in the third quarter. Actually, still a very close game here in the Las Vegas Bowl as the Notre Dame Fighting Irish are down by 4 with 4 minutes left. And on 2nd and 15, Greg Hunt, he's going to use his legs, gets away from one defender. Last line defense brings him down, but Greg Hunt is firmly above 100 yards rushing. He's been doing it on the ground. Can he also do it through the air? Hunt, he's actually going to decide to scramble once again. His quarterback fumbles it, but one of the offensive linemen for the Fighting Irish is actually going to recover the fumble. Imagine that. So, drive stays alive. Notre Dame still has a chance to take the lead, and they will with Sean Hawkins. Touchdown, Notre Dame. And the Fighting Irish will hang on, and they will win a very close and defensive-minded game here in the Las Vegas Bowl. The Fighting Irish will win 20-17 against Louisiana. So that takes us into yet another top 25 matchup that we have in the pipeline. Number 24, Miami of Ohio. Well, they will have the pleasure of going down to the Bayou in the New Orleans Bowl and taking on a very good Rice team. And this Rice team is no pushover either, finishing ranked number 18 in the country. And Rice, they're one of the few teams that actually gave Texas a run for their money. We'll see Texas in the next episode, but more on this Rice team in a little bit, as they are going to give up a big play early on in the game to Derek Drew, who was streaking down the sideline, and call him a stripper because that streaking was sexy. That's going to be a touchdown for the Miami Redhawks, and they'll take the lead here in the New Orleans Bowl. So, still a 1-point game as we get to the end of the first quarter, as Miami is again going to drop back. Quarterback's going to take off with it. He's got some space down the sideline across the 50. Eventually it's pushed out, but not before a 34-yard scamper. But eventually sets up a red zone opportunity. The first red zone opportunity for Miami. And it ends in an interception. The Rice defense is going to stand tall, but they're going to be inside the 5-yard line. They decide to pass. This is a bold strategy, Conan, going for it all. It's caught. Broken tackle too. No freaking way. Are we going to see a 97-yard touchdown? We will. Steve Wright is going to take it 97 yards. And that is how you see momentum change on an absolute dime. It seems like Miami was in control of the first quarter, even though the score was very close. But Rice will take the lead, and they will do it in the biggest of ways possible. Rice will score, and that's why you don't play with food. Miami is down by 6 points, so the Redhawks are back out on the field. They're going to get a big-time run from their tailback, who eventually is forced down about the 40-yard line. But what a run by William Mathis. We'll see if they go back to him, and they will. Going back to that running game, he's got space down the sideline, still in bounds, but it's Eddie Gatewood that gets the carry. Seems like their tandem at the running back position is causing some serious problems as it creates a play action. Looks over the middle. No, ball's on the ground. Who's going to recover? It's Rice. The food is going to bite back, and it's going down the sideline. Oh my goodness. We are looking at a 14-point swing, ladies and gentlemen, as Dan McDonald, he took it to the farm. And it's going to be a lottery win for Dan McDonald. Rice is going to score on a scoop and score. And Rice will extend their lead. Just some bad luck in the red zone for the Miami Redhawks. They have been down horrendous in that part of the field. Moving the ball extremely well, might I add. But so is Rice. And this Owls team is not messing around. They're going to go into the triple option. It's Jeff Theodux. He's going to just... Hey, how'd he get out of that? Houdini act. And now he is going to walk into the end zone. Touchdown, Rice. Jeff Theodux, you did not have to do those boys like that. Oh, my word. Rice is going to extend their lead. And it is going to be all Rice. So Miami is down tremendously. 23-point deficit. How much fight does this Miami team have in their final game of the season? This should answer your question. Kicker can't even bring him down, but he doesn't have the speed. Oh, Michael Grant just couldn't get away. He just needs to be a tad faster. But Miami is set up in wonderful field position. Terrible pass defense coverage for the pass protection, but Gerald Richardson still makes it work anyways. Gets absolutely walloped and still throws a dot anyways. But Miami will opt to go for the 2-point conversion. This is a risk, and Gerald Richardson is trying to stay on his feet, but he can't get in. But But there is a flag on the play, and the flag is on the offense. So an offensive holding, and they still fail the 2-point conversion anyway. So they'll find themselves down by free possession still. That was a risk, and I don't think that risk is worthwhile because Rice in the fourth quarter, well, they are very intentional on how they go about handling things in the fourth quarter of action. And we saw it there as Gerald Richardson turns the ball over yet again. So the Rice Owls are trying to put together a drive, but facing a 3rd and long though, Jeff Fielducks tries to float this one up. And this is where things get a little bit weird in this fourth quarter. I don't know how to explain what's going to happen to you in this fourth quarter, but we're going to go ahead and roll the clips here shortly. Tyler Atkins is going to get an interception here, and then literally on the very next play, Gerald Richardson is in the shotgun. He throws over the middle, and he is going to end up being intercepted as well. Matter of fact, if it wasn't for Richardson, that could have been a pick 6. So Rice is going to go ahead. They're going to drive down the length of this field. They're starting to drive off inside the 5-yard line. But Fielducks, he's going to throw over the middle. It's going to find his man, Sam Parrish. So Rice capitalizes off of a turnover yet again. And Rice will have a 43-16 lead. Miami, however, not giving up by any means as Gerald just trying to make anything happen. But you can tell that he is certainly pressing right now. Now in a 3rd and longer. 3rd and 6 to be exact. Richardson running out of time yet again. He gets sacked for a 2nd time on the drive. And it ends in another turnover. And that's really been the difference in this game. Miami offensively has played better. They moved the ball better than what the score indicates. But those 5 turnovers simply are not... It's not it. It simply isn't it at all. And speaking of turnovers, there's another one by Jeff Fielducks. And this was a very clean game until we got into this fourth quarter. At least for Rice. Miami not so much. But the Rice defense is showing up when it is basically out of hand. So at least gotta give credit where credit is due. 4.5 minutes left in this game. And look at that. Another turnover. You cannot be serious right now. You turn the ball over yet again. What is happening here in the last few minutes of this game? It's like they were trying everything possible to make this game last as long as humanly possible. Miami does have a chance to run this back. They will get caught at about the 30-yard line, but it doesn't change the final result in that Rice was dominant in this New Orleans Bowl. They take down the Red Hawks 43-16 as Rice gets their 10th win of the year. So here's hoping future bowl games that we get a chance to look at have a little bit less turnovers. So Penn State's going to be taking on New Mexico. They are at the THC Chung Stadium complex for the Hawaii Bowl, as Penn State will be taking on New Mexico. And New Mexico will actually get on the board here in the 3rd quarter. It's still a 1-possession game. But then Penn State realizes, hey, we're a major college football team. We probably shouldn't be in a game against New Mexico. And they took that personally. They took that extremely personally. Penn State will end up finishing this game strong as we now have a 27-7 lead for the Nittany Lions. As Penn State are going to look for one more touchdown here as they'll find Danny Davis for a goal line opportunity. And a couple plays later, sure enough, they will find Brett Adams in the end zone. Touchdown Penn State. And sure enough, the Nittany Lions do win big in the Hawaii Bowl, 34-14 against the Lobos of New Mexico. That being said, we now go to the Quick Lane Bowl up in Detroit, Michigan, and a ranked matchup on our hands. Number 21 Arkansas is going to be taking on the number 20 of ranked Northern Illinois Huskies. One of your offensive coordinators in Thomas Hammock Jr. is also here as well. But this, even though they run an option offense, this is a very unique option offense. One that actually believes in throwing the football, funny enough. But we'll go ahead and jump right into the Quick Lane Bowl matchup between these two top 25 programs, and this is a great way to start the bowl game. A huge kick return by Will Silipek, who is playing in his final college game as he is a senior. He's set up Northern Illinois beautifully as they face a 3rd and 6, trying to take advantage. Looks over to the left-hand side, breaks the tackle, breaks another one, and Dominic Hughes fights his way into the end zone. Touchdown, Huskies. And Jermaine Keys, he's going to go into the record books for most passing touchdowns in a college career, setting the school record against Jordan Lynch, who's considered one of the best quarterbacks of all time at Northern Illinois. So good that Jordan Lynch actually took them to a New Year's Six Bowl in the pre-NCSL era. And seems like Northern Illinois is off to such a tremendously hot start here. But they don't do anything with that interception. And Arkansas, they're going to work their way down the length of the field as Isaac Jacobs will finish the drive off. So it is going to be a tight game here in the first quarter of action, as Northern Illinois looks to recapture their magic on the first drive that they had. And how about getting the fullback involved, Lance Tate, for a 29-yard run. And Northern Illinois is certainly in business now, but they're going to want more than a few points though. Keys drops back, looks to the right-hand side, and tries to set up a fake screen. It was well covered though, and Jermaine Keys puts it in trouble, as Ryan McCoy will end up intercepting that pass. So Arkansas, however, they cannot do anything with that interception. So Northern Illinois will once again try to take better care of the football. They've had their fair share of red zone opportunities, including a missed field goal that happened off screen. It's still a tight game regardless though, and it looks like that will not last very long, as Riley Hale will score for the Huskies of Northern Illinois. Just doing a nice job following his quarterback on the option, and Arkansas just didn't have the bodies to cover it. So 14-7 is now your score, as an Arkansas punt could help Northern Illinois create some serious momentum. How about that throw on the run for Jermaine Keys? That is incredible. And now NIU in Arkansas territory. 1st and 10, they go with a play action. Keys throws on it across his body. It's a huge play to Vincent Montgomery. Touchdown, Northern Illinois. The Huskies are likely taking a 21-7 lead into the halftime locker room. Absolutely incredible stuff there. And it looks like Northern Illinois is firmly in control of this game. They're up by 17 late in the 3rd quarter. The Arkansas Razorbacks, they certainly didn't seem like a team that showed up and is ready to play. However, the Razorbacks did drive down the field, so they do have a borderline red zone opportunity, but Isaac Jacobs is going to make it much harder on himself, as Derek Cox is going to bring him down the backfield. So now, staring down a 3rd and 17, Jacobs going to have to throw one on a rope, and sure enough, he actually does. Isaac Jacobs is going to get on the scorecard with his first passing touchdown of the day. But his Arkansas Razorbacks are still down by 10 points. They're going to need a big play from their defense as Jermaine Keys pitches it. But his pitch man was not up. He did not realize his pitch man was not with him. They would have had the first down too. That's the crazy part in all of this. Arkansas will take over in plus territory, and Isaac Jacobs with a massive opportunity to help get Arkansas right back into this game. 3rd and long coming up though, as NIU decides to send the blitz. It does not get home, and Sonny Humphrey is going to make the catch out of bounds. So Arkansas driving down, looking to make this a one-score game, and it does. Johnny James will score, and Arkansas is now only down by a field goal. So NIU realizing that the magic is in Arkansas's hands right now. Keys is going to try to get that momentum back, and this is one way to do it. Keys is going to throw a strike down the sideline to Lance Brown, who was wide butt naked open for a 46-yard strike. Now NIU has set up the score points but they want a touchdown. They'll get the touchdown once again, finding Vincent Montgomery for his second receiving touchdown of the Quick Lane Bowl. That is a great play in the back of the end zone. And now Arkansas in desperation mode. Jacobs fires over to the right-hand side and finds Sonny Humphrey, who's been a bright spot for his Arkansas offense today, in spite of his team losing. Because Isaac Jacobs certainly was not that guy today, by any stretch of the imagination. That fumble is likely going to do it, and sure enough, it actually was. Northern Illinois is going to win the Quick Lane Bowl 34-24, and it finishes an excellent season. One that sees NIU win 11 games. But now we have one of the favorite bowl games that we get to cover from a just a meme standpoint. North Carolina is going to take on Purdue, and North Carolina is taking on Purdue in the Duke Mayo Bowl. Winner of this game will have their head coach doused in Duke's Mayo. It's just one of the little things that make college football oh so special. And it looks like the Purdue players want their coach to be doused in that Mayo a little bit more, because they're going to take the lead here early on against a North Carolina team that does come in favored. However, the North Carolina Tar Heels, this is a de facto home game for the Tar Heels. This game is taking place in North Carolina, funny enough. And North Carolina also able to get a safety. So up 9-7 here late in the first half of action. But the Tar Heels are trying to put together a drive in order to extend their lead before we go into that halftime locker room. 30 seconds left in the first half. Bates is going to find his man in the back of the end zone. It's Christian Ostrander, who's going to be found in that back of the end zone. Touchdown, North Carolina. The Tar Heels will extend their lead for now, but Purdue is certainly staying in this game. They're not going away anytime soon, or at least it doesn't seem like that. However, in the second half, it was all Tar Heels. We saw them score that touchdown there in the third quarter, and then Danny Bates, untouched by the way, on the speed option, he'll score as well. That makes it 30-10. And at this point, all the Tar Heels got to do is just run out the rest of this clock. And they're doing more than just that. North Carolina, if they really wanted to, they could score again just for the purposes of getting some old-fashioned style points. And yeah, those style points are going to be happening in the corner of the end zone. Touchdown, North Carolina. The Tar Heels will win 37-17. They're champions of the Duke Mayo Bowl. But now we go in on the Military Bowl that will be taking place between the Tigers of Missouri and the Red Wolves of Arkansas State. Should be an interesting one, as both teams like to really use that option offense, but they deliver it in two separate ways. Arkansas State will like to spread it out a little bit more than what Missouri does. Missouri is a little bit more of a traditional option team. And so far, it seems the tradition is winning out here in this snowy field in Annapolis, Maryland. As if they can punch it in here on the goal line, it looks like they will. Missouri is going to be off to a strong lead. They're going to be up 14-0. But Arkansas State, they know a thing or two about running that option as well. Their quarterback is one tough cookie. Ryan Flanagan should have been brought down in the backfield, and yet he finds a way to turn that into a first down. You want to talk about creating nothing out of something. That is the perfect endearment of that. It eventually leads to a rushing touchdown for Ryan Flanagan. So his Arkansas Red Wolves are right back in the game. We'll see if Missouri can extend their lead before we go into the halftime locker room, though. Jake Lewis with all day to throw, and there was nobody covering Brandon Green. He was all by himself. He had probably about 10 to 15 yards of separation. And credit to Jake Lewis for seeing him a little bit on the scramble drill, as it will eventually lead to a Missouri touchdown. James Houston able to make the catch in the back of the end zone as well. So Missouri with a convincing lead right now. 14 points is a lot in a game like this. How about free scores? That's almost an insurmountable lead to overcome. And sure enough, it was. Missouri is your champions of the Military Bowl. 34-14 is your final score. Up next, though, we have the Holiday Bowl between the runners-up of the ACC in NC State. Well, they'll take on the number 6 California Bears. And NC State, they're going to have to catch this fade. Not in a fault of their own by any means. But Cal was left out of the college football playoff. A little bit undeserving, a little bit of controversy in that last episode. Cal not getting in over UCLA, even though Cal has a head-to-head victory over UCLA. So the California Bears certainly feel some type of way, and they're taking it out on this North Carolina State team, even though it's not the smoothest of performances by any means. Even with the free turnovers, Cal is up big. And Andrew Jackson, he's going to throw to the right-hand side. His receiver's going to make a man miss in the open field. And Tyler Green will make sure that California is going to run away with this Holiday Bowl victory. The California Bears will win 41-7 against North Carolina State to let it be known they deserve to be in that playoff. Speaking of teams that are ranked in the top 25, though, we got SMU, the runners-up of the Big 12 championship. Well, they'll be taking on a ranked Clemson team that, you know, probably would be more deserving than Virginia Tech, but they couldn't beat Virginia Tech, so that's why they are here in the Pop-Tarts Bowl. I know it still has the insignias of the Cheez-It Bowl and the the Russell Athletic Bowl, so I don't know if it's one of those things where I gotta update my emulator at the end of this season, but this is actually the Pop-Tarts Bowl, if anything. First mascot that's actually edible, so do what you want with that information. We do have a really compelling game here in the first quarter. SMU certainly not going away. I mean, they just got done playing a much tougher Texas team in the Big 12 championship, a game that happened in Austin, Texas, by the way. But Clemson, well, they are the better team, and they should win this as they're led by their quarterback, Keisuke Nakamura, who just notched his 16th rushing touchdown of the season. You want to talk about a dual threat quarterback? Well, he is the embodiment of that. He's been a problem for defenses all season long, and he's certainly a problem down here in the red zone as well. Looks like they're going to run their read option, and Keisuke, he's going to break away from the defender, and it's yet another rushing touchdown. Rush touchdown number 17. Keisuke is getting it done, but he's not the only quarterback on the field that knows a thing or two about scrambling with the football. Derek Ford can certainly do that as well. He'll have his Mustangs down at the goal line, and all of a sudden, just a 2-point conversion away from going out and possibly tying this game up. We'll see if they get the 2-point conversion, and they actually do. We got a tie ball game. We might have a little bit of an upset alert on our hands. Clemson certainly in a little bit of trouble, but Keisuke, he's just going to trust the offense and trust the guys around him, as Dominic Hawley will get him a lot closer. Hawley also getting it done on the ground. He's close to 100 yards rushing, but Keisuke Nakamura, well, he's just on a different level right now. Nice reception by Darryl Rogers. Sets Clemson up down by the goal line as they look to retake the lead here in the fourth quarter, and they will with backup tailback Alan Grant. Clemson now up by 1 possession, but SMU has a chance to answer, and he does! Joseph Robinson with a diving grab, and we're now staring down overtime. Sure enough, overtime is officially underway, and here we are in the first overtime session. SMU is going to start with the ball, and they will get it. SMU will find their way into the end zone, but so Clemson now needs to respond. Luckily, Clemson has the perfect offense for these types of scenarios. For overtime, Alan Grant is going to punch it in, so we'll now need a second overtime. In the second overtime period, Clemson will start with the football this time around, and Nakamura, well, he's going to run it in himself, and Nakamura is going to have his third rushing touchdown of the Pop-Tarts Bowl game. Can the defense hold up, though? The Mustangs are on a 4th and 12. This will decide the game. They decide a halfback draw, and ironically enough, it almost works, but man, that is a very questionable call. Clemson will win the Pop-Tarts Bowl in double overtime. The Tigers will remain in the top 25. But that being said, LSU and Oklahoma State, well, they are getting ready to go at it here shortly. A little bit of Texas Bowl action between the LSU Tigers and the Oklahoma State Cowboys. LSU coming in ranked number 23 in the entire country. Well, the Cowboys of Oklahoma State, they are simply just happy to be here. Winning, they won 6 games. It was a difficult path for them to win 6 games, but they got it done anyways. And now they're looking like a team that, if they're not careful, could be crushed by LSU. We're going to keep it real with you there. But Oklahoma State is not going away. Reggie Reed, not to be confused with the adult actor, Reggie Reed is going to find the end zone there. And it's a close game still. Still a very close game. However, late in the first half, chance for Oklahoma State to make it even closer. I have no idea what he was looking at. I really don't. Thankfully, it doesn't hurt them there, but that could hurt him in that particular sequence. So, the true freshman Michael Collier is going to get the interception. The Reynoldsburg, Ohio product, making his mark felt in the bowl season. So LSU was able to get a field goal out of that. And here's the thing about LSU getting points before the half. They get the ball to start the second half, and you just saw what they did when they start with the ball in the second half, right? So LSU now has a 17-point lead, and their running back straight up is a bruiser. They love to give it to Sean Callahan, especially when they do have a bigger lead like this. And speaking of Sean Callahan, there he is again, taking another handoff. Doesn't punch it into the end zone this time around, but going to be just short about maybe the 1 yard line. You really can't tell how much space Oklahoma State has. They decide to pass on 3rd and goal, but it does work though. That is going to be a passing touchdown for Derek Brown. So LSU is now up 31-7. Oklahoma State has not scored since the first quarter of action. It's been a rough go for the OK State offense, but less than 7 minutes left to play in the game. Their tailback, Reggie Reed, will score for the Cowboys, and they'll even up for the 2-point conversion. This would make it a 2-possession game. Looking over the middle, but it's going to be Marcus Taylor that makes the catch. I finally got the 2-point conversion there, but refs disagreed. LSU will win convincingly in the Texas Bowl as they notch win number 9. But let's go ahead and get a little bit of small school love here as North Texas is getting ready to take on Central Michigan in the Armed Forces Bowl game. Neither team we've really had a chance to cover all season long. They just never had compelling matchups, and neither team was good enough to get like a standalone kind of game, so that's why we didn't really see both of these teams, even though both teams are at least decent to solid, right? North Texas is going to get off to a 7-0 lead early as they're led by their quarterback AJ Small, and he can certainly swing that thing around. Pause. Chad McKinney's going to make a reception. So North Texas is looking at a goal line opportunity as Small is dropping back. Looks to the left-hand side, and Stephen Williams makes the catch. Does not punch it into the end zone, though. There will be an access denied there for now. But North Texas is staying with their philosophy, going in a 5-wide set. This is a tight throw. I don't know how he fits it in, but sure enough, he found a way to fit it in there. Again, another pause for me. North Texas, man, maybe we should have been paying a little bit more attention to them over the course of the regular season, because North Texas is a fun team to watch, man. This was a fun team to watch in this particular bowl game. They love to throw the ball around, And Central Michigan, well, they just never had an answer for it. North Texas going to win 45-10. Quite an upset here in the Armed Forces Bowl. North Texas showed their might. But now we go and check in on another matchup between two unranked teams. This is Illinois. They'll be taking on Memphis. Memphis, a team that was actually extremely close to winning the Sun Belt Championship. This could have been a team that could have been playing in the college football playoff in the next episode, but it's not meant to be though. So instead, what we'll end up doing is we'll see them here in this Lending Tree Bowl game, and Memphis has a chance to get a 14-3 lead here in the second quarter of action, and they're gonna get it. They're gonna get the touchdown there. So Memphis playing some good ball in the first half, even have a chance to extend the lead, not choosing to bring their field goal kicker out and instead trying to throw it up into the end zone. It ends in an interception, but Memphis still playing good ball for now. They're up by 11, but they gotta finish the job. We'll see if they're capable of doing just that, as Illinois actually started with the ball to begin the second half, and they use it as an opportunity to work their way down the length of the field, working that goal line opportunity. Illinois with a chance to cut this down to 4 points, and sure enough they do with Travis Gillette. Travis Gillette will make it just a 4-point game, and now we go into that fourth quarter, a game that was a lot more defensive minded than I thought was going to be honest with you. So a score here could be really important because Memphis has not gotten anything going in the second half offensively. Gillette looks like they're ready to do. No, it's not a run. They're going to pass it instead, and there was a man wide butt naked open. Illinois scores, and Illinois has a 20-14 lead all of a sudden, and a chance to possibly run out the rest of this clock. We'll see what Illinois does as they're looking to continue to put it on the ground. Gillette is going to pitch it out to the tailback, who puts it on the ground. Memphis is going to recover, and it's going to go all the way. Touchdown for Joel Davis, and Memphis is going to take the lead. However, is it too much time for Illinois, though? They still have all of their timeouts, and not to mention, they don't even need a touchdown. They just got to get a field goal up in the air, and they're good to go. We'll see how Illinois decides to play this drive, as the Fighting Illini still have not used any of their timeouts, even so much as with 10 seconds left, they still haven't. And that is why they did it. They trusted their players on offense to get it done. They ran it all the way down to 6 seconds. But just to be safe, they'll go for the 2-point conversion, just in case some tomfoolery happens. 2-point conversion is no good, but Memphis cannot capitalize on the kick return, and Illinois storms back and wins the Lending Tree Bowl. So more bowl action coming your way as we now check in on the team that won the national championship back in year number 2. This USC Trojans team, which is not the same as what we saw in previous seasons. So they'll be taking on Baylor in the Alamo Bowl. One of your guys' custom players, Wes Jordan, he's going to play in his final college game. Spent the first 2 years up at the JUCO ranks before transferring to Baylor before the start of year number 2. But Baylor is up 13-0, so Baylor looking for a big upset. This would be a big-time win for this Baylor program if they're able to beat USC in the bowl season. But USC, even though they have tremendously underachieved here in year number 3 of the NCSL season, this is still an extraordinarily talented group. And Ben Scott, he's the national championship quarterback from last year. He can throw some dimes as well. 19-7 is your score, though, as USC still trying to work back into this game, and the turnovers have been an issue for USC. Turn the ball over yet again. However, Baylor cannot capitalize. So, still looking at the exact same score than what we were previously looking at earlier. USC will have a first down to work through as well. Late in the third quarter of action, Scott looks over to the right-hand side. He'll find Brian Jennings for a 6-yard gain. That'll make this a much more manageable second down situation. As now, Scott is going to hand it off to his tailback yet again, who's going to run it up the middle. Nick Richard finds the end zone. Touchdown, USC. And the Trojans are right back in the game, and they even have a chance to tie it up. Just a 2-point conversion away from doing exactly just that. 2-point conversion on the way for the USC Trojans as Nick Richard is going to run it up the gut. He'll find the end zone, and we're now looking at a tied bowl game here in the Alamo Bowl. And it comes down to Ben Scott. Both teams have exchanged field goals on our next couple of possessions, and after a Baylor punt, the ball is completely in USC's hands. Ben Scott's getting his guys ready at the line of scrimmage. He drops back, he's got some time, throws the left-hand side, and finds Anthony Johnson before going out of bounds. They've now crossed midfield. Scott, meanwhile, again, throwing over the middle of the field. He's got his guy, and it's going to be ball on the ground. Hang on, is Baylor going to push this to overtime? I think they will. USC was putting together a really good drive as well. So yes, we will indeed need overtime after all. And so the first overtime is underway. USC is going to start with the football. Big drive here for USC to keep their Alamo Bowl championship hopes alive. Scott looks to the left-hand side. That's going to be caught for a 1st and goal. We'll see if USC can punch it in inside the 5-yard line, and they will with their tailback. So now Baylor will need a touchdown of their own in order to keep the game going. Wes Jordan with the ball in his hands, drops back, got some time, looks to the right-hand side, and it's gonna be intercepted. And the last college throw that we will see from Wes Jordan is gonna be picked off, and it leads to a loss for Baylor in the Alamo Bowl. Speaking of those bowl games in the state of Texas, how about TCU? TCU 6-6 and faded towards the second half of the season. They'll be taking on Ohio, who is also 6-6, and you see the scoreboard is not working well. The offenses were so down horrendous in this particular game that the scoreboard just turned off. Not a lot of work for the scoreboard guys in this one, but TCU will get a couple touchdowns in the second half. Nice shutout for TCU, though, winning 26-0. Jake Jacobs also rumored to looking for a new coaching job. That could be a good resume builder, as he might be in a race to be a head coach this offseason. That's something I'll have to check out in a couple of episodes. But now we got the Sun Bowl presented by Frosted Flakes, getting ready to go at it. Nevada is taking on the number 25 ranked Alabama Crimson Tide, and this Nevada team is actually a pretty good team. They're better than what their record is currently displayed. The Pac-12 is a tough conference. It's an extraordinarily tough conference. I mean, they had 3 teams in the top 10 this year going into bowl season. Like, that is impressive, regardless of how you slice it up, and it shows on the field as well. Nevada is giving Alabama everything that they can handle right now, but less than a minute left here in the first half. Mark Brashard is trying to lead his team down the field. You're going to call a quick no huddle for a 3rd and goal, and Brashard, facing pressure, still finds his trusty running back out of the backfield, Quinton Lake. That puts Alabama right back into the game. So 14-10 is your score, as Alabama is still down by 4 points. But here in the 3rd quarter, Alabama does have the chance to really take the lead for the very first time here in the Sun Bowl in El Paso, Texas. And sure enough, Quinton Lake will take advantage. He's going to run into the end zone. Touchdown, Alabama. And the Crimson Tide will now have a 17-14 lead. And a lead that continues to grow in the second half until Quinton Lake finds a seam in the red zone and takes full advantage of their red zone opportunity. Alabama up by double digits late in the game. Should be barbecue chicken, but Nevada still not going to give up by any means, as Nevada's quarterback is going to scramble out of the pocket and almost gets to the end zone. He was very close there. Could pay a price, though, as Sam Freeman is hurt. So a new quarterback has to come into the game and just going to trust his running back to do something. Not a good play call. Probably would have just ran it there in that situation. Instead, it's going to be 3rd and 6 with still a backup quarterback in the game. Looking over the middle of the field. It's intercepted. It's not even on the quarterback, but it's intercepted regardless. Morris is absolutely beside himself there. And while Alabama does not get any points off the turnover, that really hurts Nevada still, because you're talking about losing a lot of time that is absolutely valuable to you right now. 3rd and 2 coming up as Sam Freeman does return back into the game. And what is he going to do? First drive back, he's going to fire a strike to the corner of the end zone. Some pride for Nevada, but it won't be enough, as Alabama will win the Sun Bowl 31-21 against the Wolfpack. But we have this bowl matchup coming up between USF and Kent State, and deciding how these two teams decided what they wanted to wear in the bowl game. It turned into a battle of who is the better highlighter color. That's really what it barrels down to. So USF and Kent State are going to go at it, as the FCS transfer in Brandon Williams, well, he is going to he's going to turn this football over. So still no score here as we progress about midway through that first quarter of action. We'll see if that finally changes, as Brandon Williams has all the time in the world and eventually finds Sean Marshall in the end zone. USF will get the first points in this Music City Bowl. So it seemed like USF was going to run away with this game, but Kent State is going to find a rhythm here in this second quarter. Victor McBride will find his receiver in the end zone for a touchdown, as USF and Kent State, still a very close game, a very intriguing game as well. Looking at a 2nd and 5 now coming up. Under the shotgun formation, Victor McBride throws over the middle of the field. He's going to find Jason Johnson for a goal line opportunity, and Kent State has a chance to tie this game. They're going to run a speed option to the left-hand side, and David Brown sends a linebacker into the next dimension. Oh my! Was that a nasty stiff arm that we just witnessed there? So a tie ball game here in the second half, and USF trying to find that rhythm. They have not scored since the first quarter of action. 3rd and 4 coming up as Brandon Williams will drop back to pass yet again. He's going to find Keith Harrison, who works his way into the end zone. A touchdown for the Bulls. And Brandon Williams will also set the school record for most passing touchdowns in a season. That is his 27th toss. That record has stood since 2015. So a 10-year-old record finally falls. But will Kent State also fall with it as well? I'm sure Brandon Williams likes the accolades, but he wants the bowl win more than anything. Down by 10 as Kent State looking to engineer a comeback. Looking over to the left-hand side and finds Maurice Scales in the end zone, as Kent State is right back in the game. Just down by a field goal. Matter of fact, after a USF punt, Kent State has a chance to take the lead late in the game, and David Johnson makes it 1st and goal. So they're only 3 yards away from taking the lead in the Music City Bowl. They toss it to the outside and nobody was home. David Brown is going to score, and Kent State will officially have the lead here in the Music City Bowl. USF needs a drive of their own. 2 minutes left to play. Brandon drops back, looks to run inside, and throws a dot to Paul Dukes. USF is officially in business. They still have all of their timeouts as well. Williams again throwing to the left-hand side and find Ken Reed, who gets the 10 toes down before a Kent State defender can bring him down. It eventually leads to a 1st and goal, which will be capitalized by Robert Sheldon. Robert Sheldon will score for the Bulls. But Kent State drives down the field themselves. They just need to get this field goal in order to force overtime. Oh, that is a painful way to lose. Gonna be wide to the left-hand side, but he had the distance. He certainly had that distance. USF is gonna win 31-28 in what was an exciting Music Bowl. But now we go down to the south to see Georgia Southern getting ready to duke it out against the Sooners of Oklahoma. We are here in Memphis, Tennessee for the AutoZone Liberty Bowl. And Oklahoma is going to get a good defensive play to start things out in the AutoZone Liberty Bowl. Maybe it will lead to an Oklahoma touchdown. This has been a very poor offensive showing, a objectively boring game thus far. That's why I haven't seen too many highlights until this final minute of the first half. Ironically enough, because Oklahoma is going to cook something here. And their quarterback is cooking a big run. He's still in bounds. Reggie Anderson. He will not be denied. Touchdown, Oklahoma. So the Sooners now have a 13-0 lead. And that was all that they needed, because after that, Oklahoma just seemed to kind of cruise through the second half of action as Oklahoma puts together a really big quarter, 21 points in the third quarter in order to win the Liberty Bowl. But hopefully there is a little bit more action moving forward, though, as we will have a pair of 7-5 teams getting ready to go at it. This is Southern Mississippi getting ready to take on Syracuse in a battle of 7-5 teams, where Syracuse actually does get off to a hot start, but Southern Miss, they never panicked, just realizing that, hey, it's a 4-quarter game, and, we're going to take it one play, one drive at a time. And that kind of mentality is going to have Southern Miss with a chance to take the lead midway through the second quarter, which they will. Southern Miss will have the lead here in this First Responders Bowl game, as Southern Miss looking to extend the lead even further, trying to put together a little bit of a 2-minute drill, and they still have a couple of timeouts that they can utilize as well. 1st and 10 coming up as their quarterback is in the shotgun formation. Syracuse sends the blitz, looking over to the right-hand side. He's got an open running back who breaks a couple of tackles, still on his feet, and Vincent Burden doesn't go down until he picks up a gain of 19. Is now 1st and 10 again coming up, looking around, got plenty of time, looks over to the right hand side, that's going to be caught. And then a couple of plays later after that, they're going to punch it in with Vincent Burden, who will get yet another touchdown. And Southern Miss will have a convincing victory, winning 34-19 here. But now we're getting down to the last few bowl games that we do have in our bowl bonanza. And we got some real good treats here in this later part of the bowl season. Number 10, Florida, is going to take on number 8, Michigan. This is going to be a battle between two teams that both really feel like we should have been in this college football playoff. But unfortunately, the cards did not fall in that particular fashion at all. So here we are, Citrus Bowl action officially underway. And FM4 in his final college game, well, he's going to come out firing on the first drive of the game. He's going to find John Anderson for a 40-yard strike. That is an absolute rocket from the arm of FM4. That's Fred Morris the fourth to ya. Michigan will score the first points of this game. And Florida, surprisingly enough, could not respond either. So, that being said, Michigan does have the ball yet again here. And looks like there's going to be another really great drive coming up here as well. 3rd and 4 coming up for the Michigan Wolverines as FM4 drops back. He's got some time. He's going to throw it deep down the right-hand side. Jason Crenshaw is going to burn the Florida secondary. Touchdown, Wolverines! And Michigan is feeling himself, and more specifically, FM4 is hot. And that's a problem when you have one of the best quarterbacks in the country feeling himself right now, because that is certainly the case there. Florida, however, towards the end of the first quarter will eventually put some points on the board. So Florida will only be down by a possession. But can they figure out how to stop FM4, though? That's the million-dollar question. Well, it starts with getting some pressure on him. If you can get some pressure in his face, that could certainly help contain him. But even if you can contain him, there's just so much talent on this Michigan roster. I'm shocked that Ohio State found a way to beat this team. I'm going to be honest with you. FM4 is a problem. He might be the second coming of Tom Brady for all we know, as he sets a school record, ironically, for most passing touchdowns in a season. He's now at 38 touchdowns. We'll see if he can be the first Michigan quarterback to 40 passing touchdowns. We'll see if the game script would actually allow for something like that to actually happen. But right now, if FM4 is going to throw the ball more, Florida's going to have to get their act together, because Florida is getting dog race here in this bowl game right now. BJ Peters going to try to throw deep downfield, but he's going to throw it into double coverage. He's pressing. He is certainly pressing at this point in the game, and BJ Peters was not having a bad game by any stretch of the imagination. 14 for 18, certainly not terrible. But this team as a whole is down horrendous. Absolutely down horrendous, as BJ Peters is going to throw yet another interception. This one is more damaging than the last, because Michigan, who by the way has been pretty offensively powerful in this ball game, well, they're going to be set up in the red zone thanks to this specific interception. That will end up turning into a field goal. So Florida got a little bit lucky there, but they're still down by 3 possessions. But we will see a little bit of FM4 throwing the ball here, and probably the exact opposite of what he wants. FM4 turning the football over there. Joseph Bailey, the linebacker, actually making an incredible play on the ball. I thought this was completed. I thought the Michigan Wolverine receiver made the completion, given how the animation ended up working out. But BJ Peters will try to throw the ball down the field yet again, and yet once again BJ Peters gets intercepted. He was off to a great start. He really was. And then, just his last quarter and a half, he's been falling apart completely here in the fourth quarter. Still not giving up, though. But not a lot of hope for Florida to come back and win this game either. 3rd and 10 coming up, as BJ Peters will throw over the middle of the field. Finds an open receiver in Corey Harper. So, makes the score look a little bit nicer, but going to need some help. They are certainly going to need a significant amount of help here if they are going to win this game against the Michigan Wolverines. Meanwhile, Michigan with FM4 is dropping back. He's going to find his receiver down the sideline, who's got some space to work with down the sideline, and he's going to be brought down inside the 15-yard line. We're still watching for that FM4 stat. We'll see if they keep the ball in the air to help him get that accolade. FM4 dropping back. He's got all the time in the world. Fires. Finds Jason Crenshaw. That is good for passing touchdown number 39 on the year. He's officially just 1 touchdown away from being the first Michigan quarterback in school history with 40 passing touchdowns. And he has a chance to do it. 440. Left to play. This is after a Florida punt. FM4 is going to drop back. Facing pressure, though, he will end up getting sacked in the backfield. That's going to be a tough one to see. It's 3rd and long, though, but still putting in the hands of FM4, who fires over the right-hand side. This could be number 40. Yes, it is. Stephen Vincent will get FM4 into the record books, not only with passing touchdowns in a season, but also FM4 is going to have 40 passing touchdowns. The first Wolverines quarterback to ever do it. And the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl is going to be a huge win for the Michigan Wolverines, dominating a top 10 ranked Florida squad 45-17. It was a one-sided affair for sure. But now we check in right in another top 25 matchup, specifically a top 15 matchup between these two tropical teams, but two tropical teams that are on exact opposite sides of the coast. So Miami is ranked number 12 in the country. They were in the college football playoff, had a chance to get in again, but they lost in the SEC championship. While Hawaii, they're having a good 2-year resurgence after being just 2-10 or 1-11 back in year number 1. Hawaii was down horrendous either way, but whatever's happening in Hawaii, it's working. Just we'll see if it'll work against a premium team like the Miami Hurricanes as well, who come in ranked number 12 in the entire country, as Amos is going to pitch the ball out to his tailback, who is going to be pushed out of bounds. David Smith will pick up a gain of 16. That might be the fullback getting some love. He's definitely has some big fullback energy for sure. But we'll see if Miami can punch it into the end zone with their tailback, the real tailback, Caleb Kirk, and sure enough, they will. Miami will get the first points of this ball game, as Miami Hurricanes will find themselves up 7-0. So here in the second quarter, meanwhile, Miami putting together another steady drive, as Hawaii is just getting blown off the ball, it seems like, in the trenches. They are having some serious difficulties containing the run. And Hawaii, they're starting to really work on their recruiting. They've been recruiting at a higher level the past couple of seasons. But the problem is, Hawaii still doesn't have the depth in the trenches right now. And when you don't have that depth in the trenches, it can be harder to beat some of these premium teams in the country. That interception will certainly not help either. Miami already up 14-0, and Hawaii sends the blitz. Quarterback somehow gets out of it initially, but Marcus Amos, instead of trying to throw it away, ends up getting sacked by Jay Blunt, and it makes it a much more difficult third down, where again, Hawaii sends the blitz, and it works to perfection as it causes a turnover. Well, hang on a second. We do have a flag on the field. We'll see what it is. It looks like it's pass interference. But on the offense, though, Cedric Ward is called for offensive pass interference. And even with the offensive pass interference, it still leads to an interception the other way as well. So, hate to see it. Shout out to Tyrell Smoochie Wallace. He just made a 23-yard catch there. That is one of your guys' custom players as well. We love to see those custom players get involved. And how about this run by Sterling Smith, the tight end, bruising his way into the end zone, rumbling, stumbling his way in, and Miami is going to score here as well. A 21-0 lead that the Hurricanes will likely take into that halftime locker room for sure. For that second half, though, we don't see any scoring in the second half as of yet, but Marcus Amos is going to try to dump it off, as Hawaii is going to have an interception, possibly a pick six. Did he get in? It looks like he did not get in, but Harvey Moses, he certainly made it very interesting. Has to be at the 1-yard line or something. Hawaii has to come away with points on this particular drive. Okay, they did do it. Thank goodness for that. Hawaii does finally get on the scoreboard late in this third quarter of action. So the Rainbow Warriors still down by a couple of possessions, but at least they aren't going to be shut out. At least not today. Late in the third quarter, though, as Marcus Amos is going to run the ball with their tailback, Caleb Kirk, who's got some space down the sideline. Again, there's that Miami offensive line going to work. They are certainly battling. And early in the fourth quarter, Amos going to scramble upfield. He puts the ball on the ground. Hawaii does recover. Hang on. Hold up. Wait a minute. Hawaii might actually have a pulse right now. Imagine that. But their offense didn't have such a pulse. And Miami's going to come out as winners in this one in the ReliaQuest Bowl. 21-7. So the Miami Hurricanes, while they don't return back to the college football playoff, they do win their 12th game of the season. Whereas Hawaii still puts together a solid campaign. Even with the bowl loss, they're going to finish 9-4 this year. So the last bowl game that we have is going to be between Georgia Tech and Mississippi State. Should be a good bowl game, as both these teams were they're both very close to being ranked. Extraordinarily close to being ranked. So it should be an interesting Tax Slayer Bowl that we do have going on right here, as it looks like we do have mainly a battle of field goals in the course of this first half. Not a lot of scoring that is happening in this part of the game. We'll see if that changes here for the last minute, as Mississippi State trying to put together a semblance of a drive. John Huff is going to put together a 15-yard reception, and right away, Mississippi State, frustrated by the lack of offensive fertility, they're going to go into their no huddle. They also only have one timeout to work with as well. It's going to dump it off to his receiver, John Huff, who does pick up yet another first down, and it helps set up the Bulldogs in the goal line, looking for the lead, and they'll get it. William Lawson will get it down by the goal line, and the Bulldogs will go ahead and take the lead before we go into the halftime. And after that, the Bulldogs, they are not going to look back in this Tax Slayer Bowl game. Another touchdown by John Huff is going to give them a 10-point lead, and that was all that was going to be required. Mississippi State wins this one 20-10, being your final score as this wraps up the bowl season. So this now go ahead and takes us into what we have going on in the next episode. And next episode, we have a brand new playoff system. We expanded from 8 teams all the way to 12, and we're going to have some good games in the next episode. Next time out, next time you see the NCSL series, you will see the entirety of the college football playoff played out. And we have one of your custom coaches in the college football playoff as well. George Gentry, the offensive coordinator at Nebraska, he's one of your custom coaches. So we'll see if he can win his first national title as a coach in this NCSL league, or will one of these other teams win it here in year number 3. So really excited about this episode either way. I hope you guys are as well. If you are, make sure you go ahead, smack that like button, hit that subscribe button as well if you do happen to be brand new to the channel. This is John J Gaming on the mic signing off. I'm hoping you guys are all out there having a good one. Take care, everybody.